Bashkirtsev. My own despair is of an opposite nature. There is one thing in the world that is more bitter than death, and that is life. Suppose that I learned I was to die on the 27th of June, 1903, for instance. It would give me a soft, warm wave of pleasure, I think. I might be in the depths of woe at the time. My despair might be the despair of despair. My misery utterly unceasing. And I could say, never mind, on the 27th of June, 1903, all will be over. Dull misery, rage, nothingness, obscurity, the unknown longing, every desire of my soul, all the pain, ended inevitably, completely, on the 27th of June, 1903. I might come upon a new pain, but this, my long old torture, would cease. You may say that I might end my life on that day, that I might do so now. I certainly shall if the pain becomes greater than I can bear, for what else is there to do? But I shall be far from satisfied in doing so. What if I were to end everything now, when perhaps the devil may be coming to me in 2 years' time with happiness? Upon dying it might be that I should go to some wondrous fair country where there would be trees and running water and a resting place. Well, oh well. But I want the earthly happiness. I am not high-minded and spiritual. I am earthly, human, sensitive, sensuous, sensual, and, ah, dear, my soul wants its earthly happiness. I cannot bring myself to the point of suicide while there is a possibility of happiness remaining. But if I knew that irrevocable, inevitable death awaited me on June 27th, 1903, I should be satisfied. My happiness might come before that time, or it might not. I should be satisfied. I should know that my life was out of my hands. I should know, above all, that my long, long, old pain of loneliness would stop June 27th, 1903. I shall die naturally some day, probably after I have grown old and sour. If I have had my happiness for a year or a day, well and good. I shall be content to grow as old and as sour as the devil wills. But having had no happiness, if I find myself growing old and still no happiness, oh, then I vow I will not live another hour, even if dying were rushing headlong into damnation. I am, do you see, a philosopher and a coward. With the philosophy of cowardice, I squeeze juice also from this fact sometimes. But the juice is not sweet juice. The devil, the fascinating man, devil it may be, is coming, coming, coming. And meanwhile I go on and on in the midst of sand and barrenness. February 3rd. The town of Butte presents a wonderful field to a student of humanity and human nature. There are not a great many people, 70,000 perhaps, but those 70,000 are in their way unparalleled. For mixture, for miscellany, variedness, bohemianism, where is Butte's rival? The population is not only of all nationalities and stations, but the nationalities and stations mix and mingle promiscuously with each other, and are partly concealed and partly revealed in the mazes of a veneer that belongs neither to nation nor to station, but to Butte. The nationalities are many, it is true, but Irish and Cornish predominate. My acquaintance extends widely among the inhabitants of Butte. Sometimes, when I feel in the mood for it, I spend an afternoon in visiting about among diverse curious people. At some 4th of July demonstration, or on a miners' union day, the heterogeneous herd turns out, and I turn out with the herd and of it, and meditate and look on. There are Irishmen, Kellys, Caseys, Callahans, staggering under the weight of much whiskey, shouting out their Green Isle maxims. There is the festive Cornishman, ogling and leering, greeting his fellow countrymen with alcoholic heartiness, and gazing after every feminine creature with lustful eyes. There are Irish women swearing genially at each other in shrill pleasantry, and 5 or 6 loudly vociferous children for each. There are round-faced Cornish women likewise, each with her train of children. There are suave, sleek, sporting men, just out of the bathtub, insignificant lawyers, dentists, messenger boys, plungers without number, greasy Italians from Meaderville, greasier French people from the Boulevard Addition, ancient miners, each of whom was the first to stake a claim in Butte, starved-looking Chinamen here and there, a contingent of Finns and Swedes and Germans, musty, stuffy old Jew pawnbrokers who have crawled out of their holes for a brief recreation, dirt-encrusted Indians and squaws in dirty, gay blankets, from their flea-haunted camp below the town, box-rustlers, who are as common in Butte as barmaids in Ireland, swell, flashy-looking Africans, respectable women with white aprons tied around their waists and sailor hats on their heads, who have left the children at home and stepped out to see what was going on, innumerable stray youngsters from the dark haunts of Dublin Gulch, heavy restaurant keepers with toothpicks in their mouths, a vast army of dry goods clerks, the paper-collared gentry, miners of every description, representatives from Dogtown, Chicken Flats, Busterville, Butchertown and Seldom Seen, suburbs of Butte, pale, thin individuals who sing and dance in beer halls, smart society people in high traps and tally-hos, impossible women, so called, though in Butte no one is more possible, in vast hats and extremely plaid stockings, persons who take things seriously and play the races for a living, beer-jerkers, biscuit-shooters, soft-voiced Mexicans and Arabians, the dregs, the elite, the humbly respectable, the off-scouring, all thrown together and shaken up and mixed well. One may notice many odd bits of irony as one walks among these streets. One may notice that the Irishmen are singularly carefree and strong and comfortable and so jolly, while the Irish women are frumpish and careworn and borne earthward with children. The Cornishman who has consumed the greatest amount of whiskey is the most agreeable, and less inclined to leer and ogle. The Cornish woman whose profanity is the shrillest and most genial and voluble is she whose life seems the most weighted and downtrodden. The young women whose bodies are encased in the tightest and stiffest corsets are in the most wildly hilarious spirits of all. The filthy little Irish youngsters from Dublin Gulch are much brighter and more clever in every way than the ordinary American children who are less filthy. A delicate aroma of cocktails and whiskey and soda hangs over even the four-in-hands and automobiles of the upper crust. Gamblers, newsboys, and Chinamen are the most chivalrously courteous among them, and the modest-looking plunger who has drunk the greatest number of highballs is the most gravely, quietly polite of all. The rolling, rollicking, musical profanity of the Old Sod, Bantry Bay, Donegal, Tyrone, Tipperary falls much less limpidly from the cigaretted lips of the 10-year-old lad than from those of his mother who taught it to him. One may notice that the husband and wife who smile the sweetest at each other in the sight of the multitudes are they whose countenances bear various scars and scratches commemorating late evening orgies at home, that the peculiar, solid, block-shaped appearance of some of the miners' wives is due quite as much to the quantity of beer they drink as to their annual maternity, that the one grand ruling passion of some men's lives is curiosity, that the entire herd is warped, distorted, barren, having lived its life in smoke-cured Butte. A single street in Butte contains people in nearly every walk of life, living side by side resignedly, if not in peace. In a row of 5 or 6 houses there will be living miners and their families, the children of which prevent life from stagnating in the street, while their mothers talk to each other, with the inevitable profanity, over the back fences. On the corner above there will be a mysterious widow with one child, who has